The Uganda State of Oil and Gas Sector feature is brought to you by Accord in partnership with Cisco, NTV with support from DGF.
The Office of the Auditor General has conducted several audits, including financial audits, compliance audits, value for money audits, and special audits into the affairs of different agencies involved in the country's petroleum sector between the financial year 2015 and 2018. There were major findings resulting from the financial audits conducted on public and private oil and gas sector players. The findings include delayed disposal of test crude oil leading to financial loss, non-compliance with local content laws and regulation by the oil companies, irregular expenditure of the petroleum funds, delayed remittances to the petroleum fund, and underfunding of the national oil company, among others. There is no denying that the government has put in place the necessary institutional framework. However, there are still glaring gaps that the Auditor General says must be fixed.
When you talk about the way these oil companies report, we have advised that there should be a common chart of accounts, because the oil companies ought to be budgeting and reporting in a standardized format. We have pointed out that they should have a standard chart of accounts, whereas some effort has been made to prepare a standard chart of accounts. This has not been adopted because the oil companies are in disagreement on how to utilize this chart of accounts.
Indeed, one of the key areas of contention is the monies Uganda will earn from the oil vis-a-vis what the oil companies are looking at as a cost recovery.
That means that the kind of budgets which are approved in cost recovery are not comparable. They are not properly comparable. And even the claims cannot also be properly, cannot be exactly analyzed. I mean, you take more effort to analyze these claims.
Accountability issues in the oil and gas sector go beyond technical queries and glitches that the Auditor General is concerned with. In the public realm, it is all about perception.
There was a bad precedent in 2017 relating to the golden handshake, where part of the money Uganda recovered from the court case between Uganda and Talo, some people were given a chunk of it as appreciation. So that, coupled with the secrecy that I'm telling you we are moving away from, you can't blame anyone to think this is intended.
Right from the beginning, when they denied us those agreements and so on, we had to fight to get access to those agreements. It was a bad beginning. It was a bad sign, and I think there is no good intention in it. Sometimes people are denied, there was a time we are denied access to the oil wells. We wanted to see who was there, who was doing what, and we were not allowed to access them. So what would that mean? This is the Parliament of Uganda, and they are doing their job, and they are not allowed to do it. So then what does that mean?
Even when there is still work to do to enforce transparency and value for money, there is much that has been achieved so far to this end.
We've moved from a place where there was really nothing but just reading about it in the news to a place where currently Uganda last month was actually admitted to join the Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, which we say was a very big milestone, and it's proof that we are actually on a path to progressively become more transparent in the sector.
Ultimately, oil and gas ought to be a catalyst for growth, and the private sector hopes when push comes to shove, there will be no turning back.
The investment in oil and gas sector is not just for and by itself. That investment is going to untap the potential that we have in several other sectors, in agriculture, for food production, supplies, in the hotel industry, in the tourism sector, hospitality, in the construction sector, housing, and so on and so forth, transport. It's going to tap a lot of potential that we have been having in several sectors, so that we now begin to build the value chains. It is value chains that create jobs.
Given the high stakes involved in oil and gas sector, now it is up to the government to step up its game for the oil resource to be a truly transformational asset for the country. Ismail Musa, Ladu, NTV.
The Uganda State of Oil and Gas Sector feature is brought to you by Accord in partnership with Cisco, NTV with support from DGF.